Yeah, Brexit is such a great thing. Great Britain has been sliding from one crisis to the next since the Brexit referendum at the latest. And the European Union is lagging a little bit behind Great Britain in economic growth, as a calculation by some Austrians show. But accordingly, the real gross domestic product per capita in Great Britain has increased by only 3% since the Brexit referendum. In the EU, the increase has since been more than 3 times as high. No, they are not lagging behind, of course. The British are still richer per capita than the Europeans, but they have become poorer in comparison. That was said by a broadcast of Agenda Austria. And it has been evident year after year since 2017 without exception. Since the EU exit referendum, per capita GDP growth in Great Britain has consistently been below that in the European Union. And since the implementation of Brexit in 2020, the backlog has become particularly obvious. According to the experts at Agenda Austria, this development cannot be attributed solely to Brexit. Countries have come through the crises of recent years with varying degrees of success. But business investments in the UK have been developing poorly for years. The prospects for trade relations are also still uncertain, and Brexit is likely to have contributed to this misery a lot. However, it's still too early for a final analysis of the long-term Brexit effect, as several crises are overlapping. But Brexit will hit the UK economy harder than the EU economy because the UK has withdrawn from the EU single market and the customs union. This has resulted in higher tariffs and other trade barriers that have made trade between the UK and the EU more difficult. And this has led to a drop in exports and investments, and that is slowing the UK economy. In addition, Brexit has created uncertainty that has held back companies from investing and from expanding, and this has also slowed the British economy. The EU, on the other hand, continues to be an integrated single market and a customs union, and this means that it is easier for companies to trade within the EU. This has helped the EU economy to be much less affected by Brexit than the UK economy. And Brexit has weakened the UK economy in a number of ways. Of course, there was the decrease in trade. Brexit has resulted in higher tariffs and other trade barriers, as I said, that made the trade between the UK and the EU more difficult. And this has led to a drop in exports and investment, and that slowed the UK economy. And the already mentioned uncertainty. Brexit has created so much uncertainty that a lot of companies were held back from investing there. And that's another slowdown for the British economy. And of course, the emigration of skilled workers. Brexit has resulted in many skilled workers leaving the UK, and this has weakened the UK economy as it has led to labor shortages in certain sectors. And the mentioned investments. Brexit led to a fall in foreign direct investment in the UK, and this has weakened the UK economy, as it has led to a lack of investment in new businesses and technology. The long-term effects of Brexit on the British economy are not yet fully visible, also because there are still some transition periods. However, it's clear that Brexit will have a long-term negative impact on the UK economy. And the Leave campaign made many promises about the benefits of Brexit that have since been contradicted by reality. And you will know the most notable examples. The promise of 350 million a week for the NHS was one of them. The Leave campaign promised that the UK would save 350 million pounds a week after leaving the EU and that this money would be used to fund the NHS. It's clear that this promise was based on false figures. And if we look at the backlog now, which reached another high at the NHS, the UK did not actually save 350 million a week from EU membership, and there's no guarantee that any of the money saved from leaving the EU will ever be used to fund the NHS. And then there was the promise of more control over immigration. The Leave campaign promised that Brexit would give the UK more control over their immigration. However, it's now clear that Brexit has made it more difficult for businesses to recruit skilled workers from the EU, and it has led to an increase in the number of illegal immigrants coming to the UK. And the promise of a better deal with the United States was just another smokescreen. The Leave campaign promised that Brexit would lead to this deal with the US. It's now clear that the USA is not interested in a trade deal with the UK that is as good as the current UK deal with the EU, for example. And those were just a few examples of the Brexit promises that have been contradicted by reality. It is clear that the Leave campaign made many false promises in order to win the referendum. And the consequences of these false promises are still being felt today, and they are likely to continue to be felt for many years to come, because the situation that we have now will not change much in the upcoming years. And we don't even have to talk about rejoining. If people are talking about rejoining, I suggest that they watch a video that I made a few days ago, what it would mean for the UK to rejoin the EU and what that would mean to try that, what way they would have to go. It's not such an easy thing. And Brexit will harm the UK for the years to come. And it will be quite some time until they even discuss rejoining the EU. And even if they make another referendum in how many years, whatever, even after that referendum, it will take many years for the UK to join the EU again, because they would be treated as any other new member. They have to go through the same process. There is no ex-member bonus on that. And with every little piece of divergence from EU regulations, they prolong this time. And so Brexit will be a gift that keeps on giving for many years to come. And if you want to know more about Brexit or UK politics, which is quite interesting as well at the moment, have a look at the end screen. The next video is there. I'll see you there. I'll be back.